Have you ever seen a cockroach drinking water or peeing like other animals? Never, I suppose. While most animals lose water when they excrete, cockroaches hardly lose a drop. But how do they do it? The secret lies in their highly efficient excretory system. So, today in this video, we are going to explore the excretory system of Periplaneta americana. Excretory systems are body's waste management systems, but they work differently in different animals. For example, fishes that live in water simply release ammonia directly into their surroundings, that is, the water. This makes them ammonotelic. To avoid ammonia toxicity, mammals convert ammonia into urea and they mix it with lots of water to excrete it as urine. So the mammals are ureotelic. But animals like reptiles and birds, and even these cockroaches, do something far smarter. Instead of passing watery urine, they convert urea into dry uric acid crystals. This makes them uricotelic. We can say it's like turning sewage into a dry powder. So, in cockroaches, the uric acid is the main excretory substance. This uric acid is managed by a three-tiered cleaning network. The first tier is handled by the Malpighian tubules, which form the main excretory pathway, while the rest two tiers assist in excretion directly or indirectly. The second tier consists of nephrocytes, and the third tier includes the fat body and the cuticle. So let's unpack this whole process. Normally, Malpighian tubules collect the nitrogenous waste, which is mostly the uric acid from the hemolymph surrounding it, and release this uric acid from the hindgut, which is the main excretory route. These Malpighian tubules are delicate thread like structures and they lie attached with the digestive tract. These long, thin, yellowish tubes are about 100 to 150 in number, and these are arranged in 6 to 8 bundles attached at the junction of midgut and hindgut. So now let's zoom in one of these tubules. The distal end of the Malpighian tubule hangs freely in the hemolymph, while the proximal end is attached to the gut and opens into the hindgut. The distal end contains specialized glandular cells. These glandular cells actively transport nitrogenous waste like uric acid, water, and ions like potassium and sodium from the hemolymph into the lumen of the tubule. Remember, this is an active transport process and not the filtration because it uses the energy as ATP. It moves the substances against their concentration gradient, and therefore, scientifically, this active transport is also known as active secretion. Since the distal ends collect the waste from hemolymph, they act as waste factories of the body. Now, what does the proximal end do? Once the waste rich fluid reaches the proximal end, it absorbs the useful substances like water, salts, and sometimes amino acids back into the hemolymph. Since the proximal end selectively reabsorb the substances that shouldn't be wasted, it functions like a filter. So you see, Malpighian tubules perform two opposite functions of secretion and absorption in two different regions. After this, the waste fluid passes into the ileum, where water along with some salts are reabsorbed back into the hemolymph. From there, it finally reaches the rectum, and the rectum reabsorbs maximum water and useful ions back into the hemolymph. And only the dry uric acid crystals move forward. Since the rectum focuses on removing water, we can say it works more like a dehydrator. So, what finally gets excreted is almost dry uric acid mixed with fecal matter, and that's why cockroaches don't lose much water while excreting. But Malpighian tubules aren't working alone. Remember, we discussed that there are some secondary structures too, which include the nephrocytes and the fat body and cuticle. So, let's discuss these. There are certain special cells floating freely into the hemolymph along the heart and the nerve cord. These cells are called as nephrocytes. These small cells act like living filters which remove the harmful and unwanted substances from the hemolymph. Since nephrocytes silently clean the body's internal fluid, they work like the vacuum cleaners. Then there are structures that store and recycle the uric acid. These include the fat body, cuticle, and the uricose gland. So let's discuss them one by one. Fat bodies are white lobed structures that float freely in the hemocoel. Primarily, they store glycogen, fat, and proteins for energy. But they also contain special cells called urate cells that store uric acid as crystals for a long time. Since fat bodies store uric acid in the body instead of excreting it immediately, this type of excretion is called storage excretion. Like the fat body, the cuticle, which is the outer covering of cockroach, also helps in storage excretion. Some uric acid circulating in the hemolymph is taken up by the cuticle and deposited as urate crystal. When cockroach molts, the stored uric acid is discarded along the old cuticle, which is an indirect form of excretion. In the last, let's see the most interesting structure, which is the uricose gland, which exhibit uric acid recycling. This gland is found only in males. Some uric acid from the hemolymph is absorbed by the uricose gland. The glandular cell of this gland accumulate uric acid inside its vacuoles. During copulation, this uric acid is released into the ejaculatory duct along with the sperms. It is important to note that the primary function of uricose gland is reproductive. The elimination of uric acid is just secondary and incidental. Now let's sum it all up. The Malpighian tubules secrete the waste, also absorb the waste. Nephrocytes are special cells which remove unwanted substances. Fat bodies store uric acid. Cuticle also store uric acid, while the uricose gland reuse the uric acid in reproduction. So, overall, Malpighian tubules filter the waste, rectum absorbs water, the fat bodies store extra uric acid, uricose glands recycle waste in males, cuticle helps in waste removal, and nephrocytes enable to extract any unwanted materials inside the cockroach's body. So, cockroaches have survived since the time of dinosaurs. They waste nothing and survive everything.